Senator Schatz.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member. My question is for Mr. Vincent. We know Commissioner Goodell recently changed the NFL's domestic violence policy to require a 6-game suspension for first offenses. We also know that after he changed that policy, Mr. Goodell personally called Ray Rice. What was the content of that conversation?
I wasn't aware of him calling Mr. Rice.
Well, this has been widely reported, and my understanding is that it was to reassure him that this would be applied prospectively rather than retroactively. And you're not aware of this?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I'd like to offer you these questions, and you can get back to the committee, because my question for you about that is this normal? Does the league consider this appropriate? Does the commissioner, as a general proposition, interact directly with players who are subject to disciplinary proceedings, or was this a one-off? And I think it goes to the culture that Senator Heller spoke of in his opening statement, which is get the player back on the field. Your financial incentives are aligned towards getting the player back on the field. And I found it odd, and I found nothing in your policies and procedures that would indicate that it was appropriate for the commissioner of the Football League to call an individual player to reassure him that everything was just fine.
Senator, I will investigate that and get any information back to you.
Thank you. The NFL's handling of domestic violence is illogical, in my opinion, especially when you look at the strict treatment of athletes who violate the drug policy. Take Josh Gordon. Mr. Gordon was suspended for an entire season for testing positive for marijuana during the offseason. This imbalanced treatment actually happens all the time. ESPN analyzed cases and found of players found guilty of domestic violence between 2000 and 2014. The analysis showed that in 88% of the cases, the NFL suspended players for only one game or not at all for domestic violence, while in comparison, in 82% of substance abuse cases, the NFL handed out suspensions of 4 games or more. Does the league consider that to be an inconsistency that has to be corrected going forward?
Yes, sir, Senator. And that's one of the things that we've been looking at, that we've been evaluating. I think now our staffers, the commissioner, when you learn the complexities and the severity of child abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault, we failed. We failed in that area to punish, to hold one accountable. I know recently in the Players Association, most recent proposal, and this is one of the complexities that we have. When is it the appropriate time to take someone off the field? The most recent proposal said you need a conviction. We strongly disagree with that. We strongly disagree that there needs to be a felony or a conviction for us to remove someone off the field.
Where are the owners in all of this? I know we've sort of touched upon this issue, but it seems to me, in particular with the NFL, a lot of the leverage is with the individual teams, and a lot of the difficulty is within the individual teams. And the teams aren't represented, if I'm not mistaken, at this table. And I'm wondering what leverage you think the NFL can exercise with respect to its interactions with the owners, because certainly in the Ray Rice case, the problem was system-wide, but it was in particular with the Baltimore Ravens as an organization. And I'm wondering how those interactions are going. I think Senator Heller and others are referring to the collective bargaining process. That's part of it. But really, a lot of the challenges that the financial incentives of the owners are to get the player back on the field and figure that the fans will forgive them in the end.
Yes, and in our last 2 owners' meetings, we have one coming in the next 2 weeks. It's been the focus of our discussion, some uniformity to make sure that we are consistent with penalty process and how we see.
So what leverage are you prepared to exercise in your interactions with the owners? Because I understand that by revenue, the owners are bigger than the league, and I'm wondering what you're prepared to do to try to get the owners to participate in this new system of accountability.
Well, we're looking at all options, and one of the things when we start talking about club accountability, maybe the removal of draft picks. You have to do things to really hit the club, to hold the clubs accountable, but all things are on the table. We're discussing all options to make sure that everyone's held accountable, the player, the staff, local law enforcement that's working with the team, as well as the clubs themselves.
Thank you very much.